Step 6 is the part where the user will not only model DSITE's calculations that run in the background, but also the scales you want to use to evaluate criteria. If you want to learn more about DSITE's calculation procedure, please have a look at the tutorial in which we explain the underlying methodology. If we look at the homepage of the Parameters tab, you see the minimal parameters that you have to set. These are whether you want to minimize or maximize the value of the criterion. In this example, we want to, for instance, minimize all the price criteria since we are looking for the supplier that will offer the lowest price. The quality, on the other hand, we want to maximize. This can be done by selecting all the criteria, clicking Edit, and then selecting the appropriate value in the Maximize/Minimize column. If we move on to the menu on the left-hand side, we'll have a look at how to create scales for your criteria. In the case of our IT backup example, we could, for instance, decide that we want to express all the subcriteria of provider quality using a scale ranging from low to medium and high. These scales are entirely up to you to define and could therefore have any value you like. You can either choose to create these scales as a template or on the project level. The difference is that a template is saved on the account level and can be imported into any project. So, if you want to standardize the way you evaluate specific criteria, it would make sense to define qualitative scales as a template. This will save you time in your next projects. Let's assume that here, I want to define the quality scale as a template. If I click on Create Scale Template, I can choose to define either an empty scale or a 2, 3, or 5 level scale. Given that I want a low, medium, high scale, I'll choose a 3-level one. I'll name it Quality Scale so that colleagues understand what the template is. Of course, you could add a description as well. When I click Create, I automatically receive this scale, where High has a value of 3 and Low the lowest value of 1. If you want to edit the names or values, click on Edit and you will be able to change the levels. If you decide you would want more levels, you can also easily add a scale level. Since we have chosen to define this scale as a template, I need to import it into the project in order to be able to use it. This is done by clicking the Import button on the Manage Qualitative Scales page. Now that I have done this, I want to make sure the scale is used for the correct criteria. In order to do this, I go back to the View Parameters tab in the left-hand menu. After clicking Show Advanced Parameters, you see all the calculation parameters that can be set. When you click Edit for a criterion, you will see all the parameters that can be defined. For the first 5 options here, I refer to the tutorials that explain DSITE's methodology. The same goes for the Manage Utility Functions tab in the menu on the left. In the 6th section, you will be able to select any of the qualitative scales that you have just defined. In this case, I will indicate that proposal quality and commercial acceptance need to be assessed using the quality scale. The drop-down list of scales will include all the scales that are defined on the project level, so you have to import your scales before you can use them. And that's it for the non-mathematical parameters. Have a look at the methodology tutorial to understand the calculations, and then you're ready to move on to the evaluation step.